Hi, my name is Devontae Fitzgerald, partnering with Daniella Rodriguez and Anthony Tritt, and we will be presenting on the oldest old elderhood age cohort and some of the counseling implications when working with the elderly. So looking at developmental counseling issues, social decline is one of the most common when working with the elderly and is characterized by decreased frequency of social activities. At this age, social networks tend to decrease and may lead to loneliness and social isolation in some cases. It's just a reality that elderly people may have outlived friends and family at this point in their life, which can involve confusion and anxiety for them. Many of them spend the later years of their life in hospice care or nursing homes, or even have frequent or infrequent visits to the hospital. COVID-19 may prevent social interaction for this age group, particularly because of the restrictions that different facilities such as hospitals and nursing homes have implemented to reduce COVID-19 spread, which will definitely affect the elderly in particular. Disability and illness is another common issue in working with the elderly. Body systems are deteriorating. Things are not functioning the way that they once did. There are emotional issues related to self-image, decreased capabilities, and perceived lack of control. Depression, anger, and stress are also associated with physical issues. So it's important for a counselor to realize that this may go beyond a physical issue and maybe begin to tread into a mental or psychological issue as well. Another issue with those who experience disability and illness is they may completely withdraw from social activities. With issues like accessibility, people may not want to burden others with needing to be accommodated with a wheelchair. They may not want to burden a group with their disability, so they may totally withdraw from social activities. Many of them are unable to care for themselves at an advanced age, which can lead to a significant role change of once being a caretaker and now relying on others to be taken care of, which would be a significant life change that may need to be addressed in counseling. Death and grief are also a salient issue when working with the elderly. Death anxiety about what are the circumstances of my own death. Those thoughts begin to creep in and intensify. Again, the elderly have likely experienced the loss of peers and family members and may even experience survivor's remorse, where they question the reason behind their survival and why others have perished. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's 5 stages of grief, which include denial, anger, bargaining, sadness, and acceptance, may also come into play because they do not only work with past deaths, they also can apply to the process of dying, which loosely applies to the elderly people as they continue towards the end of life. So many developmental theories attempt to explain the process of human development, and here are just a few. The maturationist theory, Piaget's theory of cognitive development, and Freud's psychosexual stages of development. These theories are sometimes difficult to apply to a specific group because of their focus on particular periods of an entire lifespan. And they may only provide a limited explanation of the developmental experiences and issues of a group like the elderly. So to go into a critique of these 3 developmental theories, I'll start with maturationist theory, which basically asserts that human development involves repeating the same biological and cultural phases of evolution that occurred during the history of mankind. Essentially, predictable phases of development, like one must walk before they run, or one must crawl before they walk. The maturationist theory assumes that all of us will develop in the way that our ancestors developed. Now, this theory has little consideration for external variables that may hinder future development. And the theory also provides a broad explanation of the stages of development through adolescence, but does not extend into the continued development as an adult. looking at Piaget's theory of cognitive development, which tries to explain that the developmental process of how people, it explains the developmental process of how people learn and organize information, and that developing mental structures and processes help people make sense of their experiences and environments. It has 4 stages, which are the sensory motor stage, the pre-operational stage, the concrete operational stage, and the formal operational stage. And the final stage, the formal operational stage, includes age 11 and up. Now, age 11 to the end of life is a very broad time range, and it provides little insight into the obstacles that may affect cognitive development. The theory does not detail cognitive development and potential decline and its relationship with significant events in adult life. Freud's psychosexual stages of development basically asserts that our responses and behaviors are driven by instinctual and biological drives, and that during childhood, people develop ways to resolve conflict between the urge for pleasure and the demands of the moment. This theory has 5 stages, and the 5th stage, the genital stage, involves ages 11 through 18. So the theory only involves the first 18 years of life. And since this developmental theory is focused on childhood development, its applicability to elderly individuals is very limited. So the theme of these 3 developmental theories is that they do not explain in detail much of adult development and focus primarily on childhood development.
Okay, now let's go into developmental needs. At the oldest old age cohort, 2 developmental needs that are seen are life satisfaction and quality of life. As of now, the term quality of life denotes 2 meanings: A, the presence of conditions deemed necessary for a good life, and B, the practice of good living as such. There's a million of definitions for quality of life, but most of them include a multidimensional functional aspect and a subjectivity aspect. The multidimensional functional aspect of this incorporates physical well-being, emotional well-being, and social well-being, while the subjectivity refers to the individual's own perception of his or her quality of life, meaning that life satisfaction is based on the individual's interpretation of his or her life. For this purpose, I have chosen to use Erikson's stages of psychosocial development as the approach that best fits these developmental needs. If you take a look at Erikson's stages of psychosocial development, the last stage includes the age cohort of 65 years and up. At this stage in life, they are dealing with integrity versus despair. Integrity means understanding of self and satisfaction with life, while despair contributes to feelings of wasted time, opportunity, and chances. So positive outcomes foster wisdom, while negative outcomes encourage despair. So what this basically means is integrity comes from feeling fulfilled. At this age, you've already lived a good part of your life. So you have to feel fulfilled enough that you've lived a good life and see it in a positive way. While if you feel like you didn't accomplish anything, you didn't accomplish all of your goals, you go into despair. So the central psychosocial crisis of later life is the search for ego integrity. The process of life review as the therapeutic process for helping old individuals is an essential means of achieving integrity, or the sense that life one lived is the best one could have lived. So as a counselor, it's important to incorporate this into your sessions with this age cohort. You need to make sure or find out where they're at. Is it more lean towards integrity or lean towards despair? So now going into the developmental domains, we can take a look at the physical domain. They have the power to make different choices in order to achieve life satisfaction and a better quality of life. So they can choose to exercise and remain active to reduce the possibility of health problems. They have the power to say, I am going to eat healthy so that I can maintain a healthy body. Therefore, I am living a healthy life that I can, they can be happy with it. As a socio-emotional domain, they can choose to accept the life that they have lived up to now. So in this age cohort, accepting and coming to terms that you have lived a life with many ups and downs is still living a good life, and it's very important. Even if they wanted to, they can't go back and change their past. So, as counselors, maybe helping them, guiding them into accepting the life that they have lived and remembering it in a positive manner will eventually help them achieve life satisfaction. So they do have the power to change their future. Once they accept and see their past in a positive manner, they can choose to live the rest of their lives in a better way. They can see everything more positively. The inability to do so can result in despair, in sadness, or depression. So for the last domain, the cognitive domain, it is important for them to continue engaging in daily activities, such as working on puzzles, on hobbies, whether they're old or new, and continuing their education, always wanting to learn new stuff, whether it's learning how to use a computer, learning how to use the phone that they just got. So keeping the mind active in this age cohort helps with their cognitive development. At this stage, the elderly tend to start having problems with their memory, or they feel like they're getting slow. It's normal, but the best way to work on that is by engaging in activities that stimulate the brain and keep it working. So you want to keep it working, keep it busy, keep it with activities, puzzles that will help their memory and have their brain constantly work. So Erickson's stages of psychosocial development is important because unless the people within the age cohort have achieved satisfaction with their life and acceptance of what has been, they won't be in the right state of mind to be able to engage in all of these activities. At the end, it all comes down to the quality of life and life satisfaction of your client.
I will be discussing barriers to implementation. Counselors are often faced with internal and external factors and influence the therapy process with their clients. Here are some examples of internal and external factors. Internal factors are going to be directly related to the individual, such as their own individual cultural acceptance, the financial resources that they have, stigma that they may have towards mental health, and social networks. Then there's also going to be their external factors, such as medical costs of healthcare, the geographical resources, i.e. urban versus suburban environments, societal indifference due to age, race, and cultural systemic racism. As you can see in the picture, here are some areas that may limit our ability to connect with our counselors and our clients. There are two major stresses that influence the oldest old elderlyhood. The first one is going to be stress and depression. Associated between positive life and depression systems was mediated by a trajectory mastery of tasks. For example, if you look at table 1, here are several tasks and stress somebody in elderhood deals with. Their ability to master these tasks also resulted in a less stressful environment, i.e. less depression. Their inability to master these tasks increased their stress and depression. There was a corresponding relationship between their ability to master and the level of depressive symptoms. The more they had mastered, the less depressive symptoms they had. Stress and psychosocial resources have no immediate effect on underlying mediating mechanisms of stress. However, especially among the oldest old and elderly, there was a direct connection. So, as a counselor, we need to understand that as much as our ability to connect with our clients, we need to understand that a client's ability to master these may directly relate to our ability to connect with their clients, meaning that there may be barriers established in their actual life, stopping them from progressing through the therapeutic process. The other major barrier is going to be microaggression and ageism. Experiences of microaggression based upon an individual's race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender, and decline in individual mental health, mental, physical, and emotional health all play a factor. Microaggressions every day consist of verbal, nonverbal, environmental slights, snubs, or insults. This is important to understand because as elderly get older, there's the idea that they are lesser than value because of their age. That is directly related to a separation between the adulthood and elderly. This results in a isolation and segregation from the elderly from the adults, meaning that they are perceived to be less valuable. And recent studies indicate that older individuals are generally perceived less favorable than young generations. So this is something we need to understand when dealing with the oldest old. That as much as we may build a connection with them, we need to understand that the group that they're around may actually be reinforcing negative ideas on our clients that reinforce this idea that they are worthless or no value. But in reality, we need to change the understanding that they are of value and that they have some sense that they operate in a system that is going against them and reinforcing this sense of microaggression and ageism. We need to understand that in addition to these two barriers, there is also going to be cultural considerations that a counselor must be aware of. They're often faced with such sample cultural factors, i.e. communication, touch and body language, first or second generation immigrant, medical care, spirituality, regional demographics and ethnic background, or even their learning process. These are all related to an individual culture, and with these cultural considerations, we need to understand this ability to connect with our clients may be inhibited also by a cultural consideration. For example, we need to recognize that as elderly, there needs to be a sense of meaning in life for our clients. And there's a direct connection between meaning in life and religion. So one thing we need to recognize is that culturally, there are some demographics such as Hispanics and, whether they're Buddhist, Muslim, or Christian, there is a reinforcement of meaning in life and religion. So, as studies indicate, there's a greater sense of meaning in life that may have direct physiological effects on the body, like improved immune functioning. And research reveals that mental health problems are in turn associated with more physical health problems. So, as we connect with our clients, we need to get an understanding of what they perceive meaning in life, and if they are perceived that they have a good network of religion, going to church, being part of the community. These are just examples of our understanding of our clients. And we need to recognize that as counselors, that you have to be respectful to this cultural consideration when dealing with these elderly. Next one is going to be language and cultural acceptance of healthcare and medical services. For example, Japanese first generation have recognized that there is an absence of culturally sensitive services available to the Japanese. Especially first generation Japanese follow their own ethnic practices instead of adopting Western culture. This is important because as we try to make a connection with our clients, counselors have to be very aware that there may be things inhibiting this connection. For example, in Japan, there's a sense of shame culture, which is referred to as haji, meaning that there's a sense that they fail their family. So even the act of seeing a counselor may be inherently resulting in a sense of haji for our clients. This is something that we need to be very respectful for and understanding when we are getting results that we need from the therapeutic process. So we need to recognize what ethnic background and where they are actually in adopting Western culture. The last one is storytelling. As Eric talked about, the elderly is a teaching species, meaning that they play an important role in connecting the young generation with the older generation. What this does is we need to understand that there's a basic virtue and the human qualities which is reinforced through the environment of elderhood. And this important role, this stature in relationships with the family, for example, in the movie Coco, the grandmother played an important role in the movie. Because what it did was it showed that in the Hispanic culture that they value the elderly. Ultimately, as counselors, we need to understand that we can't change how people operate, but we need to be respectful to the environment that they are and the role that they have in their family. And this will vary very differently depending on what group of culture that they're background from. In conclusion, we discussed developmental counseling issues, developmental theories, developmental theory critiques, developmental needs and the domains associated. We also addressed two barriers that vary to implementation for a therapeutic process and also cultural considerations. So ultimately, we need to understand as counselors that through everything, we have an academic background, but we need to be very respectful to our elderly and reinforce the importance